Yo, what's up YouTube? This is Gresnick, and welcome back to another film theory. I haven't uploaded the past 2 days I normally would because I have been very sick. But I'm back now, and I'm fine. So I'm gonna get back to reacting to what I was going to, which was this. They Will Never Leave You Alone. Glendale Archive by Film Theory. I've never heard of this before, so I am rather interested in what this has. But as always, like and subscribe to the film theorists and myself. Comment down below anything you want me to react to and how you feel on the video about the video. Now let's get into it.
What would you do if you were the last person on Earth? Well, a new analog horror series called the Glendale Archive is chronicling the life of a man wandering a world.
Oh wait, I have heard of this. Yeah, I have watched this. I forgot. I didn't know that's what this was called. Okay. I wasn't expecting them to do a theory on this.
Completely abandoned, surviving against the threats lurking within this strange world. But the real danger is himself.
Alright, now I know. At least I like.
Hello, internets! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that's creeping around abandoned houses looking for that subscribe button. Wait, right there. Zoom in. Yeah, there it is. So, the other day, I was browsing the old Instagram because I'm an old man millennial, and between cute videos of cats and AI slop asking me to pick a door, a video popped up for me of a guy recording himself wandering through an entirely empty store. I thought, hey, this is neat. I love me some analog horror. And then making a mental note before swiping away. A couple more of those shorts then landed on my feed, but then the same guy popped up on my YouTube homepage. As it turns out, these weren't just cool short videos of a guy in liminal spaces. It's a whole new analog horror series known as the Glendale Archives, which just popped up into my feed organically. And guys, this one is really cool. What at first seemed like low-quality vlogs or tours of abandoned buildings quickly turns into a terrifying look into a world where it seems like everyone has disappeared, except for our unnamed main character. He's traveling through this empty landscape, exploring empty houses, malls, and more, all while trying to survive. But even though all of the people are gone, that doesn't mean he's alone. All throughout this world are mysterious, human-like monsters called nesters, which try to chase you, corner you, and attack you. But otherwise, our main character is wandering a world completely barren, which I have to say is incredibly impressive. There's clearly either a lot of planning or a lot of visual effects trickery to avoid or remove any pedestrians or moving cars in these shots. And man, just hats off to the creator of this series. I know how much work that had to be, and it paid off. Glendale Archives is one of the coolest and most promising analog horror series I've seen in ages. And after looking into the story, hidden underneath this empty world is a tale with a full, powerful message. One about the psychological toll being truly alone can take on somebody. And though it appears like the worst threat are the Nestor monsters lurking in the shadows, this guy's biggest danger might just be himself. So grab your sleeping bags and camcorders, loyal theorists. Let's take a journey into the Glendale Archive. So first things first, what the heck is even going on here? What is the Glendale Archives? Well, thankfully for us, we caught this one relatively early, so there are only a few videos so far. Let's hit them one by one. The first video, The Nesters Found Me, starts out pretty straightforward.
All right, day 8 of squatting in this house. It's been really nice, actually. I've been able to sleep, shower, recharge.
Here we meet this guy. He doesn't really have a name, so he's just gonna be this guy for now. He's been living in this vacant house for a few days hiding from something. But after he accidentally flicks on a light switch at night, we see what's scaring him as a strange figure lurks around outside the house. Looking at the title and description, we can put together that these things are called nesters, but we don't know much more about them for now. The only thing we do know for sure, this guy doesn't want them to come close to him at all. Because of this, he decides to set up some traps at the weak points of the house. It's all very Home Alone style. With all the traps set up, this guy decides to head outside and find some food. He discovers a grocery store, and we start to understand what kind of world this guy's living in. It's completely empty. There's no one anywhere, inside or outside of the store, and there are no cars driving around on the streets. He wanders through the store, grabs his ingredients, and then heads home. At which point he starts making dinner and gives us just a really solid tutorial on how to make a chicken parmesan. It's so random, but I'm kind of here for it. He then sits down to eat it before sharing some of his feelings.
Man, I can't wait for Food Theory to come, make a theory or something, and dissect his chicken recipe. That would be so funny.
I'm lonely tonight. Just sort of missing some camaraderie, I think. Tell you what I don't miss about people right now? It's feeling in debt to people.
It's a strange moment in an already strange analog horror, where this guy discusses how people are selfish and take advantage of your time. So he had to put up some boundaries, so much so that he refused to get a cell phone. He didn't want anyone, even his family, to have constant access to him. Which, as someone who has to be chronically online for my job, hey man, that's fair. This speech is a big part of this video, and it's rare for an analog horror series to really dive into its main character's headspace rather than the scary parts of the world they're exploring. But those things are connected here. The more this guy talks, the more we understand how he feels.
I really was afraid I was incapable of connecting with other people the way I wanted to.
I feel like one of the reasons why having a good, or understanding our main character's headspace is really good in this one is because the main thing is that he's the only person apparently besides the Nesters, which I'm guessing it's some sort of apocalypse or infection maybe. Not super sure, might be.
I would never feel close to my family and my friends, not the way I wanted to.
He's opening up about his fear of social situations, how he's afraid of what people might think or how they'll use him, so he's chosen to push people away.
It's safer to believe that everybody is a time-sucking vampire than to actually risk rejection.
So, isn't it fitting that he's now stuck in a world where there isn't anyone to bother him? But
yes, very
we're
fitting.
Getting ahead of ourselves. Once he finishes, this guy decides to get some sleep. But at 2:36 in the morning, some strange sounds wake him up. He finds that a Nester has tripped one of his traps and is being burned alive. And then the video cuts out. So we learn a lot about this guy in this video, but we pretty much know nothing about the world he's wandering through yet. What are the Nesters? Where is everybody? What happened? Where is this? Well, I wanted to get some answers before going further and did what theorists often do. I turned on the captions and went into the comments and description. And hey, wouldn't you know it, but down there's a note written by someone called the Archivist. Isn't that strange? Apparently, they came across several tapes of this guy, who they are calling the Subject, so we'll call him that as well, and are editing them down and uploading them now. We're absolutely going to want to keep an eye out for more hints and notes from the Archivist, but in the meantime, well, I wanted to figure out where this story actually took place, and doing so was actually much easier than I feared it would be. See, the grocery store in this video is the Market Bistro by Price Chopper, and as it turns out, there's only one of those here in the United States, just outside of Albany, New York. That doesn't quite explain how or why everyone has vanished, but it does give us a frame of reference. So let's keep going and see what else we can uncover. The next video's thumbnail is dated December 8th, 20-something, so it looks like we're getting a rough timeline here.
Day 4, squatting in this abandoned house. I haven't seen another person in 81 days.
The last video was day 8 of squatting, so this footage takes place before then, obviously. Not only that, but we see how long the Subject has been alone. If it's been 81 days, that's almost 3 months of solitude, which checks out considering that all of the world's infrastructure hasn't fallen apart yet. Anyway, the Subject finds a map and decides to go exploring, hoping to find, well, anything really. He explores a mall, an underground concourse, and a museum. Each of the spaces the Subject explores has some serious backrooms vibe, but he doesn't find much of anything in any of them. Of course, that doesn't stop him from talking more of his his philosophy, though. For example, in the museum, he says,
I kept mistaking the stillness for life.
and as someone who has refused to connect with others, there might be something deeper going on psychologically with the subject here. Regardless, as he heads home, we get some more information about the nesters.
I really don't know much about them. Once they settle somewhere, infestation usually follows. I've encountered that. They look human, but something is off about them. Something is just not normal.
From the brief glances we get of them in the videos, the subject is right. There's something off about the nesters, and I'd also avoid this guy at all costs. The next video is very different from the last two. Rather than the subject exploring the empty world, he dives more into his feelings and mental state. He talks about how he doesn't feel able to address his mental health because of his current situation of trying not to die to monsters, and also it's probably kind of hard to find a therapist in these conditions. Anyway, the subject talks about how he felt judged for his habits and the pressure he had to please others, but even deeper than that,
I gotta change something, but I can't. I don't want to. It's true, I don't want to. I know it's hurting me and likely other people, but truthfully, I just don't want to stop.
he doesn't want to change, and that's causing so many more problems for him.
Because to admit that I don't want to stop something that is hurting me, it opens me up for what I fear the most, being abandoned.
The subject is struggling with something beyond social anxiety. He's pushing people away because he's afraid of being abandoned, and he just doesn't want to confront that possibility. Now, this is complicated. In a lot of ways, this has to feel liberating. In this situation now, the subject can finally feel like he can be himself and he can be what he wants to be, alone.
I don't have to be a man, whatever that means. I can cry anytime, anywhere. I can be afraid without the worry of what it says about me. Makes me wonder why I didn't allow myself to do it earlier. Makes me wonder why I didn't just maybe pretend like people were gone all along.
He doesn't have to live up to the expectations of anyone else. And I'm sure all of us have been confronted with ideas like this before. Being afraid of what others think of you. Maybe not to the extent of pushing people away or living in a world with no one else around, but you know, I can relate. The next video, dated November 29th, 20-something, so it's the first chronologically, follows the subject as he survives in a completely deserted city. This is where the subject lived before whatever happened, and he's been grabbing supplies from local convenience stores to survive in between dodging nesters.
I was pretty much barricaded inside my apartment.
If nesters are all about getting into people's homes, a city would be full of them. Feeling unsafe, the subject decides to leave the city and head to upstate New York to his childhood home, a lower population area with fewer nesters. He journeys along the main roads, visiting deserted locations like a log cabin and a diner before finally making it to his childhood home, the building he was staying in during the first couple of videos. He does a quick scan of the house, and satisfied that there are no nesters here, he makes a camp and gives us another nice tutorial on how to make a fire. Everything seems well, until...
Okay, it's nearly dark, and I'm a little freaked out right now. I found a nest. I don't know if this is a live nest.
Yeah, I guess he didn't search super thoroughly because there is a nest in the basement of this house.
They never leave their sleeping bag, they never leave their pillow. I mean, why would you do that unless you were coming back?
The subject convinces himself that this is an old nest, and after locking the basement, decides he's safe for the night, only to wake up after hearing sounds from the basement. He checks for someone,
Hello?
but after getting no response, turns off the camera because he's worried he's getting paranoid. But the video doesn't end there. Instead, we get a clip from the archivist. Yeah, she thanks us for supporting the channel as they continue to restore and edit the footage, adding a bit of a meta layer to this whole series. Also, it's a pretty cool in-universe way to ask for out-of-universe support from the audience. It's good job, guys. I am so excited by this idea and really can't wait to see where it goes. But as of the writing of the script,
It's just such an interesting series, though. Wait, they really still haven't made anything else? It's crazy. Huh. Yeah, that is fun, actually. I find that really weird, because the whole point is that there is no other people here. So how is somebody finding these and re-uploading them.
This is what we've got so far for the Glendale archives. But there is so much more going on beneath the surface here. And the biggest thread to pull on here to figure out what's going on in this series where we don't even know the main character's name? Well, it's what we've been talking about this whole time. The subject's mental state. Yeah, the subject has some strong feelings about other people from before the world ended. He talks about setting up boundaries, pushing people away, not getting a cell phone because everyone else is a time-sucking vampire. It's clear that he has social anxiety, and as a result, he's become very numb. He doesn't even tend to show his fear.
Anyway, we got a nester, 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna get out of here before it catches me.
You can tell that this nester is very close to him. He's talked about how they attack people, and yet he's showing as much emotion as someone would in, like, light traffic. But why? What happened to our subject here that has hollowed out his emotional core? Well, when he talks about his family, he drops this little nugget of lore.
And then one day, my brother died, and I still couldn't share the pain. That excuse to keep putting it off, it's bottomless.
Yeah, the subject lost his brother, which, man, that's a pain I don't even want to imagine. So, our subject was already distant from people and seems to have taken that to an extreme after losing his sibling. And here, he takes it even further during the apocalypse, which we see with one simple decision: returning to his childhood home. See, going back to the home you grew up in does a lot of things subconsciously in your brain. Studies show that it can make you feel calm and at peace because everything is familiar and predictable. More or less, you feel safe, which is exactly what the subject wants to feel here. On top of that, moving away from cities means that you're likely in an area that's quieter, has more greenery, and open space. All things that are proven to make your brain happier. But the biggest thing about returning home like this is that recalling good memories can give you hits of dopamine. Your brain is literally rewarding itself for being in a safe area. And that's why we seek comfort and familiarity when we're feeling down. And that's exactly what the subject says.
I feel safe. I feel somewhat comforted because I know the history that's in these walls.
This doesn't just make sense for someone surviving an apocalypse. It makes sense for someone going through mental turmoil.
I figure if I'm gonna go down, I wanna go down here.
And we've talked about this a bit already, but it isn't a coincidence that the subject so desperately wants to be alone and that he's found himself in an empty world now, full of creatures that look like people but are violent when they get close to you. They infest homes, overwhelm them, and try to get closer and closer to the subject. There are a lot of parallels here with how the subject feels about just regular people. They're constantly trying to get access to him, to invade his privacy just like the nesters. These creatures are a manifestation of his mental struggles, the fears he has of other people and interacting with them and letting them get close. Now, to be clear, this is not me saying that the Glendale archives are all happening inside of the subject's head. We know for sure that this is really happening because the archivist is an outside observer actually finding these real tapes. This isn't some weird purgatory or like a coma or something like that. It's just thematically relevant to his own struggles. All of this is real, somewhere out there, and because of that, this is where I see the Glendale archives going. With all of the focus on the subject's mental health and how he feels about others and how he's coping in this dystopian world, he's walking down a dark path. Yes, he's done the difficult step of recognizing his own issues, his fears, his bad habits, and he's admitted that he doesn't want to get better. He's just distancing himself from others, staying put in his house, becoming more numb day by day. And well, I mean, just listen to what he says here.
This is a great place to nest right here because I can put a fire in this fireplace.
Did you catch that?
This is a great place to nest right here.
This is a great place to nest. The subject here is turning into a nester himself. And I mean, the parallels between them are just massive. First off, remember what the subject says when he first finds a nest?
They never leave their sleeping bag. They never leave their pillow.
Nesters carry around sleeping bags and pillows like people would. And exactly like the subject is himself. Both nesters and the subject are hostile to others, though the subject hasn't turned violent about it yet. They're both obsessed with nesting in homes, finding places to stay away from others. We haven't seen any nesters in groups. They all wander as individuals just like the subject. And if he doesn't get help, he's going to end up just as monstrous as they are. But that's not to say that there's no hope, loyal theorists. See, nesters aren't the only thing wandering out here in this world. Something else is out here too.
I also saw a figure that I've encountered before moving towards me. I call him Mr. Whiteout. He sounds harmless, but I don't know, something in me just doesn't trust him.
This guy is odd. He just appears to be like a shadow or silhouette.
He just exists.
And somehow the subject knows that Mr. Whiteout isn't a nester. But that's just about all we get about him. He doesn't really reappear in the story yet beyond this moment. But
it's really weird because the tapes...
by singling this...
Excuse me, I paused that. The tapes aren't being, like, showed to us in order, so we don't know what one, since he's the last person, and he's apparently not met anybody else for all we know, he's probably giving them the name Nesters. Unless if, like, these were, like, a thing that was just happening, but then he ended up just being the last person alive. I don't know. They're weird. I really do think it's, like, an infection or something.
Guy out, apart from the hostile nesters, the subject is pointing out that Mr. Whiteout can be different. He could be another real soul, just like his own, that's been following him because he knows the pain the subject is in. He knows that he can help the subject walk down a different path, one of healing and growth in a world that just seems so empty. All the subject needs to do is let someone in and realize that he's not really alone. And he never has to be. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory.
What did that say?
He never has to be. But hey, that's just a
Oh! That thing is terrifying.
theory. A film theory. And
Cut. Well, good video. Yeah, I completely I just, like, forgot about the Sandlog Horror. I watched it, like, a while ago, like, by myself. I didn't think about making a video on it. But I remember it was really good. I enjoyed it. So it's neat seeing them do a theory on this. And, as always, like and subscribe to the Film Theorists. And myself, comment down below what you want me to react to, what you think of the video, how you're doing. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.